Actually exciting bit of information here. Boom. Passed New York State inspection somehow. So yeah, I got it kind of running. Drove it a few times. I took it to work one day. According to the speedometer, I put 70 miles on it, but the speedometer's not correct. So we're working on the train horn right now. For those of you who weren't around for the Toyota Corolla days, I used to have a 03 Corolla that I pimped out. At the time, I was making more money than I knew what to do with. And so I had a Toyota Corolla. I put airbags on, and I was like, hey, I got air. I might as well put a train horn on it. So the train horn that I have, it was I believe it was a K3 LA or K3 HA, one of the two. But it had bells 1, 2, and 4A. And I had them mounted to the bottom side of the trunk on the Corolla. Obviously, the Corolla is not really a very high vehicle. Long story short, they replaced a culvert. Yeah, make a long story even longer. They replaced a culvert pipe in my neighborhood, and they left the road open, which I figured meant I could drive through. Got the car stuck, and so I was trying to get turned around, and in my rearview mirror there was this nice construction barrel cone, and I thought I'll show them. I'll back right over that sucker, and turns out it was on top of a manhole cover. And so yeah, I wiped the train horns right off the bottom of the car because they had the road dug out, so the manhole stuck up 18 inches. And so 2 of the bells survived, the big one and the tiny one, so I think it's 1 and 4, but 2 did not survive. I've hung on to it for all these years. I don't know why. I guess a part of me thinks maybe I can get it fixed. They weren't cheap, but I still have it just in case. I don't know. So I made these brackets here. I wanted to have them under the truck somewhere so you couldn't really see them that well, and so the best place I could find was actually on the flatbed, so they will go up and down with the flatbed. Well, you can see I got the one bracket welded on already, so I'm going to get the other one welded onto this side and then paint it up a little bit. The whole thing's pretty rusty, so I don't know what the point is, but we'll throw some paint on her. But I got a pull chain. I didn't get a chain, I got the pull doodad, pull valve. We're gonna see if that'll work for us up in the cab, so I'll put a little cable in, just like a big rig. So that should be pretty sweet. Alright guys, so it's been a very long time since I actually shot a video. Haven't really done much in that time, but have done a few little things. I think I kind of started to shoot a video about my train horn valve, so I finished that up. It works. Apparently that's not as strong as it needs to be. So it's not, that valve that I got does not put enough air through for the train horns, so they're kind of wimpy. So I need to fix that, which I'll probably fix with an electric valve. But I just thought that this would be way cooler, having the trucker pull chain. I don't know, maybe we can rig it up so that when this valve is open all the way, it hits a switch for the electric valve and dumps full pressure to them. The other thing, I know I did a video about the gauges themselves. They all kind of work. I still haven't really dialed them in. The fuel gauge, for whatever reason, when the tank is full, it's only at 3/4, so I don't know. I followed the instructions on how to set that up, so I don't know what that means. So we're gonna have to figure that out. Oil pressure gauge works good. The water temperature gauge, I'm not sure how accurate it is. I think I need to add a few more grounds. I haven't added a single body ground. I have a ground going from one battery to the cylinder head, and the other ground goes to the starter. I'm positive I need a body ground, but everything seems to be working without it. So I haven't taken the time to run another a wire to the frame and then a wire to the body. So, but I don't know if that's the issue or not, but I know that the gauge, when you turn the headlights on, the gauge, it instantly gets like 20 degrees hotter, so it gives me like an indication of where it's at. And I do have the I think I talked about that, right next to the water and the oil gauge there's a little LED. So that's the blue one there. Obviously that's the blue one, but that's for the oil pressure and the water temperature switch. So if we do have a situation where it is getting too hot, that switch should come on and that light will light up and tell me that it's getting hot. The speedometer, I originally hooked to the there's a speed sensor on the rear differential for the anti-lock, and it did nothing. So I actually, it's the same plug between from that sensor to the one on the back of the transfer case. So I was able to plug into the back of the transfer case, and now the speedometer works. I just have to dial it in. Originally it said I was doing about like 70, 75 when I was really doing like 50. Tried to adjust it and went the wrong way. So earlier today I was doing 140. But everything seems to be working there. According to the odometer, the trip odometer, I put 195 miles on it since that started working, but that's obviously not correct because it's not correct. It's not calibrated or whatever you call it. So still have to work on that. I don't know if I touched on this. We have a little bit of an issue, and I already know that all these people in their loud trucks, people are gonna say in the comments, I told you so. I took it out, see how fast it would go, and 52 is our top speed going uphill. Going downhill, I hit 60 once. So everyone was correct with I really didn't do my homework there. I probably should have looked into that a little closer when people were like, oh, you're stupid for putting that AT45 in. So, 545. So it's a 4-speed transmission, no overdrive. So it's a 1-to-1 in 4th gear. So, and then without the lockup converter, you lose some. So anytime you go up a hill, the engine speed doesn't change, but you start going slower and slower. So eventually we're going to do some other things to the truck to fix that issue. I think the first thing I want to do is I want to put on some 22.5 semi tires, and there's actually gear ratio calculators. You guys can go online and check it out for yourselves. If I put 22.5 inch tires, that should get me like 65, 70 ish. And then even further down the road, I want to change out the gears. So right now it's got 410s, and I'd like to do 331s. Gears are expensive too. Like just for like the rear, it's like $600. It depends on what gears you get too. Like the less popular they are, the more they cost. So like I could do like 373s for cheaper, but that really wouldn't do much for me. So it's like, why would I spend $400 to get like an extra 3 miles an hour? But so yeah, we're working through that. This whole project has taken way more money than I anticipated, and so resources are running thin. Anyway, someday down the road we'll be getting some adapter plates and some 22.5s. It's gonna be awesome. I'd like to do Alcoas, but that's even more money. Those adapter plates, they ain't cheap either. It's like, for a set of 4, if you buy them new, they're like over $1,000. Like, really? And finding used ones, because this is the old, it's a 8 by 6.5. Those ones are even rarer, so you don't really find them a lot on the internet. But I've been scouring Facebook Marketplace. Not that it matters, because I don't have money to buy them. So yeah, we've just been knocking out a few little things here. Now that I've set the camera up, let me move it. So, I ran all the wiring for cruise control, fast idle, and diagnostic switch. So I finally got around to putting them in. This switch here is your cruise control on-off switch. So that's cruise control on. And then this switch, it's no longer fuel. This is your set, resume, excel switch. I probably should have done a little better on this, but one of these is your fast idle switch and one of them is your diagnostic switch. Don't know which is which yet because for whatever reason cruise control and fast idle do not work, and it doesn't matter like which button I push, the check engine light starts to flash and give you like code readings. Same thing with the cruise control. If you turn the cruise control on and you start pushing buttons, the check engine light starts to give you diagnostic trouble codes as well. So I'm not really 100% sure what's going on there. I did also get indicator lights working. So the issue with these indicator lights here is they're the bulbs for those are a part of your factory gauge cluster. So by removing the factory gauge cluster, I lost the bulb sockets and all that. So these, basically what I did was I took some heat shrink tubing that like fit inside the hole, and then I took some LEDs and I poured, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Here's a close up of my air gauge. Yeah, you can kind of see it back there. So put the heat shrink tubing in there, put some hot glue around the hole, and then put the LED down inside, and then I filled them with some clear epoxy resin, and so that way the LEDs are set in there and they're not gonna vibrate and the leads break off of them and stuff. So we now have left turn, right turn, check engine, and engine warning lamp. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but before the issue that I had here is because I went with LEDs instead of regular bulbs. You can see the check engine light never really goes out. So I did figure out a fix for that in case anyone down the road is doing the same thing and they're having the same problem. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the way it works is it sends out just like a little bit of voltage, not enough to light up the bulb, but just a little bit of voltage so that it can tell if the bulb is there and if it's blown or not. And so that's why the light never really goes out, because it's an LED now instead of a incandescent bulb. So what I did for the warning lamp, just to see if it would work, I put a resistor across the positive and negative, and that took care of that issue. So now I gotta make it permanent and do one for the check engine light, so that way they're not constantly like partially on. But this video's probably gone on long enough. I don't know if I showed you guys or not, but I also got my gear indicator installed. So it's pretty high tech. It's kind of weird because I'm not used to shifting from neutral. I'm used to shifting from park. So half the time I'll get in it and like go to back up and put it in drive, and then like slam into a building or something. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it will. So I think that's about all I got for you.